Hello, everyone, and welcome to another World of Sasquatch. Today's episode is being filmed on 3/9/25. We're here with Terry Gayman today to talk about all of his experiences regarding the forest people and to talk about when him and I first started talking about this. So before we go into any of this topic, Joanna, go ahead and do the opening of the circle.
Okay. We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda, to be able to have this conversation in peace, as intended, and also that could be past loved ones, that could be galactics, that could be elementals, of course the forest people, and anyone again welcomed in with no conflicting agenda, and then for malevolent and mischievous beings to be swept out right now so that this conversation can be had in peace. We hope you all enjoy it, and as always we say, so be it.
And so be it. And now open the circle of true benevolence and nothing conflicting agendas of sessions expert. Okay, everybody. Yeah, like I said, we're here with Terry Gayman today, and I will give him the floor here. Why don't you tell us about your experiences with the forest people, and also how you and I began to speak in the beginning?
Yeah, it's been a few years now. Usually, a lot of these names come to me when I'm driving down the road. It's kind of funny sometimes. I'm a truck driver. And like these names will pop into my head. Like the one day I was eating a ham sandwich, and I don't know, I bit into something hard. I'm like, what the heck? And spit it out, and it kind of looked like a little piece of a bone. I'm like, ham bone. And then I got to thinking about it, and somebody was talking to me or something, putting that name in my head, and I'm like, oh, ham bone, okay. So that kind of reminded me of a forest person. So that's how a lot of these names come to me, just out of the blue like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a great experience. And then I'm not sure how Hamstring came to me, but that one, like a couple of days later, you said that might be his brother, maybe.
Yeah, I figured that's his brother. Yeah, yeah. To the audience, yeah, Terry and I have been doing sessions for quite some time now, several years, and these names just pop into his head, and they end up either being galactic or elemental source or a forest person source. There's also been ghost sources and things of that nature too, but mostly for the most part, recently it's been forest people. And yeah, Hambone and Hamstring. If people are aware of the episode I did before about the tales of Hambone, the Swampsquatch, he was talking about kind of like how he was it's like one of the swamp people. Like you see that show on TV, kind of like along those similar lines out in Bayou. Hamstring is his brother. So anybody listening to this, if you get weird names in your head, take it seriously, because that could be somebody popping a name into your head that is actually legit being. It may sound weird, like Hambone. That there's also a song that goes with this. Isaac has never let him forget it. He said, "Oh, he's named after the song." And also put weird cartoons in my head that had to do with the song. So that's how I know when Hambone's around now. I get images of like the Bayou and gator wrestling and all that other stuff. So
And again, it's just a nickname.
And it's a nickname.
It's just a nickname he has, and again, for some of the adventures that he had in his life. And so the family and everyone around him, the forest person, has nicknamed him this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and yeah, over the years, it's been with me and Terry have been interesting. His forest person guide and friend is named 2Hearts. At some point, we'll see if he comes through. But I know there's a lot more than just Hamstring and Hambone around today. So I know there's like a large grouping of actually there's more than one grouping. There's at least 3 or 4 different groupings from different areas. I know 2Hearts is one of them, and his grouping there. And there's also the ones we know in Arizona, Fuma and Seymour and them. And there's Hamstring, Hambone, and there's like this whole extended like Swampsquatch family I'm looking at. So it's like Isaac pointed out, you know that painting American Gothic with the two the people with the the pitchfork and all this. So, yeah, he basically said this reminds him of the Hambone family portrait over here. So, but yeah, there's even a little one in there somewhere, little like child in there somewhere. But let me see here. This definitely can turn into a Q&A, unless Terry, you want to talk about more about some of your experiences, unless we want to go into Q&A.
Yeah, I just want to ask them a lot of questions when they come through.
Okay. Yeah, 2Hearts, there might be two different ones that talk today. It might be Hamstring and then 2Hearts too.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2Hearts, it's been a while since he's been around. Okay, they're clearing the space actually. To the viewer, at the time of this recording, just before this, there was a lot of creepy stuff in dreams that came
And
through.
What
So,
is the date of this recording?
well, I said it's 3/9/25.
Okay.
That's actually more appropriate than you think, because the creepiness of the dreams, I will not go into it, had to do with threes, not and nines. So today is 3/9/25, and 2/9/25 is a 9. So you see where this goes. So the force people are also trying to sync up their conversation to block a lot of that junk that some of these 9 associated beings are trying to hit us with. So they're acting like a buffer so they can take up that conduit. So this seems to be pre-planned at the day we've filmed this, including tech issues that came before this. You see the battle going back and forth. So okay, Hamstring, I would assume that would be you talking. If I could describe them, they look like no, Isaac, they're not walking stereotypes. Okay, let me see. From like the back swamp, you see swamp people, you see those people that are out in the backwoods bayou. This is what this reminds me of. And Hamstring, he's a light brown color. I would like an amber colored Sasquatch, roughly like what, you're that tall? Okay, he said 12 feet, but okay. I thought you were shorter than that, but okay. You're taller than your brother Hambone. Okay. Yeah, Hambone says yes. He's special because he's larger and his brain's smaller. Okay, let me see. All right. He's like a bigger, bulkier Sasquatch. Okay, and Hambone is a narrower looking one. So he's narrow, all right. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, Hamstring. 2Hearts, yeah, you're fairly close here too. 2Hearts he's more the classic Squatch look, the black hair. He's wider shoulders, but not like Fuma where he's like this. But he's like the classic Sasquatch look, if people know what I'm talking about. So okay, Hamstring. Okay. Oh, you guys are really packed in here today. All right. Hamstring, if you could go through the foot, have the foot that I channel with them with this. So they like to use those as go-betweens. So he goes, yes, get it, get my foot in the door, get it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he's a jokester too, okay. Excuse the creepiness of the moment. The current energies that were going on prior to the show taking place were a bit creepy, let's just say, with creepy thoughts in tow. And the beings associated have been booted out of the channeling stage, let's say. Uh, my name is Hamstring, and yes, I earned the nickname. Now, with my brother Hambone, in the same events where we are pig thieves. So he got the nickname Hambone by stealing a pig, and I got Hamstring by doing the same. The channel, you normally would hear our accent come through a little bit, but the channel is having to stabilize more. So I and my brother, as he said before, travel to different swamps and the bayous along up your east coast between, I believe it was North Carolina and also down into the deep south as well as up into Pennsylvania. This also your ism we've gone through before and kicked out a few trolls. You call them face eaters and wild men out of those venues. They tend to be gross, disgusting, and annoying. So I and my brother wish to be on here again in order to show people that there are different types of forest people, Sasquatches, and the like. And also, in a little while, we will give voice to 2Hearts as well. So I can actually go into questioning if you would.
Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad there's so many friendly Sasquatch out there because they can be huge and overwhelming. It's nice to know that most of them are on our side and they want to help us out. I'm just wondering if you could tell us about yourself, what you do through the day, and and how do you listen to these recordings, or how'd you find out about me and Chris and all of us?
Well, it's interesting, as you call it snowballing, the snowball effect, where when one thing occurs, it leads to the next, to the next. Now, when you began communicating with my people, it began a cascade effect, you would say, across the board, whereas different forest people have now begun to communicate with yourselves, you see. Not only the interest, but the intention behind it. You would see it as more of a butterfly effect, whereas you would, say, speak to one of my people, they would get back to others, and it would open up other lines of communication. It's very much, he is comparing it to when you put, when he put seed out for ducks one time. One grabbed the food, went back and informed all the rest of them, and they come back. Similar effect, I suppose, but it is more or less, excuse the interruption, it is more or less that kind of procedure. And also the forest people moot, you would call it, or meeting, dictated that communications would exponentially continue and help clear the energies by which then the communication is then possible. About my day to day, if you saw the environment in which I and Hambone lived in, humans would probably be horrified as to the filthiness of it. As he said, that he's not necessarily like that sloth with the bacteria on his back. I suppose somebody could interpret it as this, though. With the backwoods swamps, it is actually a beautiful place when you get used to the scum. So that humans, that have been, what's a kinder word here, been pampered by your everyday world, would not want to walk into what they consider scum-infested waters. Now, that's far from the truth. It is a very diverse ecosystem. Yes, there are gators involved. Yes, there are snakes involved. Yes, there are other creepy cryptids and trolls and all this other stuff. Now, walking through the swamp, I literally am ankle to knee deep in this all the time. We have adapted to swamp-like environments, and we have adapted to the backwoods way of life. We live in a, how can I put this? In a structure that you would see as like a tree, like hut type of deal. Not like a small Yoda hut type of thing, like the Grimpa live in, but a larger tree structure. And you would see this as some kind of little backwoods hut, very much like in your Elder Scrolls, where you had Oblivion, where you had huts along the river bends and one out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. Then also in your medieval times, where some people would do this. We adapted this from not only some of those time frames, but from essentially the necessity to live out in the middle of nowhere. I'm showing him now as we will go into the swampy areas. Every now and again, in the wooded swampy areas, you'll have a gator that is dumb enough to try to attack one of us. It does not end well. And we get free food out of the deal. So yes, we do eat them. And they tend to stay away from both dogmen and forest people. The gators tend to stay away from us because they know we can tear them in half. But humans, on the other hand, that would do the same thing would get attacked. Not to say that humans are weaklings in any way, shape, or form. They're just not used to that type of environment and how to deal with those threats. People are afraid to go into the waters with gators, and I don't blame them. But they also, if you were to get used to that environment, you would have that intention and that manifestation going into that environment that the gators would not bother you. Also, out in the middle of the woods, we've had wild boar try to attack us, and again, free food. So every now and again there is a dumbass that does this, that attacks us, thinking that we are human. So we are just built up more, and the tolerance more is because we're in this environment all the time. We are barefoot walking in the muck. So therefore we have a tolerance and a strength in the back environment. Humans can very easily build this up. Very, very easily. You are our cousins, and you can very easily build this up. Excuse, there is some interference in the background. All right. There is some, let's just say, competition for the channel stream this morning that is annoying to us. And we know that this particular being instead of beings was not allowed on this property. So we were running interference, you would say. So further questions?
Yeah, so your group doesn't travel around like some of the other Sasquatch groups, or do you stay on planet?
Yes, we do stay on planet, unlike some other groups like Fuma's group. We do stay on planet. We go through the different swampy areas only, and some wooded areas, but we are used to traversing the swamps. These are actually corridors and untapped in, let's just say, connection points. Say you went into any swamp in North America, and you went along the different waterways. They're not all connected, but there are tunnels and sometimes even portals between them. Excuse the moment. There are tunnels sometimes that go between them. Say if you had a swamp area, like your Dismal Swamp, for instance. There are portals in this area that are unseen, but sometimes there are tunnels that are in the banks that we can exploit and going down into different areas underground and above. We don't exploit that too often. We're mainly on the surface, and we traverse the back swamp areas. We have been spotted before, and we can shift in frequency as well. Not as much as say Fuma and them, but we do travel them like you would travel a roadway with a path. Now, if we went into another back boggy swamp down in your south in the bayous, we could literally traverse that swamp to a point in the back area where there is a convergence of energies. In these areas, they are special, you see, if those brave enough to go all the way to the back. No, Isaac, it is not like going into a back alley with street gangs and such. No. Well, essentially, one could compare it to this, where if you are brave enough to go in the back, he's pointing out an incident where somebody found guns and weapons in the back that your cabal was trying to put on the street because somebody was brave enough to follow their intuition. In the swamps, it's very similar. If you are those that are brave enough, uh, fortune favors the bold in this, or and the brave in this instance. Whereas if you go all the way to the back and into the area by which the swamp converges into like a cul-de-sac, these are portal sites. These are sites by which then cryptids of all kinds can come through. It's an old portal network from a long time ago that they can traverse. The Earth is reallocating these. You will see these sites. Not only would swamps look like a cul-de-sac, but the trees whirl around a vortex and portal site. You see, these are sites that we exploit. The Earth is very generous in this way and allows us to traverse long distances in these. Dogmen use them as well, and there are unfortunately other reptilians that use them. So they are not for the faint of heart. These are a highway system, and some of them go underground, a lot of them do, and one's above ground. You would see these as, again, like a vortex, like in Sedona, but also would create a series of portal or tree rings. It's also like the example could be seen in your Nightmare Before Christmas with the ring of trees with the different portals to the different lands. One could see this, but that's more denoting stone circles that they were showing in this. In us, you would see these trees winding around and spinning around in knots and spirals and in twists, like in your Sedona. This is how you can tell when vortexes are nearby. Yes, I understand the Isaac, the plural is vertices. Yes, I understand. You do not have to be anal. We understand. Now, these vertices then culminate with the trees, and the trees form those different and follow the different energy patterns. Always note these when you see these. Off in the back swamps, if you make it back this far, no insult intended, you will note then where these cryptids that you call us are coming and going from.
Why do you say it's not for the faint of heart to go through them?
It is extremely dangerous to get back to those back areas from not only the wildlife, but also diseases as well. We are resistant to a multitude of different viruses and diseases that certain, no insult intended, modern man is not, because of the connection to technology and the connection. Some people have been pulled away from nature. This has caused a detriment and a schism in the genomic structure. Faint of heart, also the animals that are back there. Say if you took some person from an office building and stuck them back in the swamp, would they be able to survive? No. This is now, if you are an outdoorsy type and you wish to get back into that area and look around, traversing the animals are also a different chore. The closer you get to one of these junction points, the more animals will culminate around it, from birds to rodents to alligators to other cryptid types. Also, some of your reptilian forms are predominantly using a lot of these to get into your forest and to get into your swampy areas. They are not the hospitable type. Goat squatches, bear squatches, everybody uses these. So it is not just us. Even if you come in with the intention that you wish to meet us there, you may not get what you want. This is why it is I say it is not for the faint of heart.
And are you mostly invisible to us most of the time, or what frequency are you in, or
Yes,
both frequencies?
you would see us as invisible. We could be standing next to you and you would not realize it. We are not too far off from your frequency bandwidth, though. We could easily dial into yours, but like your Fuma did, you have to meet us a little halfway, but we could literally become solid and walk right up to you for a limited amount of time. We are within your frequency range by only a few points. So we would not be affecting your energies and taxing that heavily. He always compares it to the forest people that were sitting in the temple with the Tibetan monk, by which they were in a meditative pose. And therefore, the monk was still feeling the strain of the powerful energy. We are not quite as far you would say up the scale as that. So we could easily walk up to you, but then it would look like as if we vanished in front of you like a ghost. So this is essentially where we're at.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. Most of the time you stay invisible so you don't scare the crap out of people that aren't expecting it.
Unless we wish to scare the crap out of people. If we need to get them out of our territory, we can and do. We've even thrown gators their way to get them away from our junction points sometimes. So even for the non-faint of heart, sometimes people wish harm upon us. So we will sometimes throw gators and such their way to get them out of our territory. If they're overwhelmed too much, even the most hardened warrior would not like 30 or 40 gators coming their direction. No. So we have done this. It's essentially up there like with the rats and the Pied Piper of Hamelin kind of deal. So we have had to do this. Dogmen and Antigua have had to do this too in your south. You've run into the swamp ones. No, they use the Rougarou mythology to scare people. They even said they got rid of a slave owner back in the day. You encountered some the dogman groups that do similar things. So we've had to do this on occasion, not often, but every now and again, Ham, Bone, and myself do get a what's the term? Burr up the butt, let's just say, and do try to spook people. The moot tends to frown on actions like this because they're trying to establish peaceful communications. But every now and again, a practical joke is overlooked. Yes.
So if somebody comes and shooting guns at you and you're out of frequency, they won't hit you.
No, no. What now? If I'm say in frequency, would they hit? Yes, but it would hurt. Yes, but it would not get through. Like if they aimed at my heart or something or my head, it would hurt. Yes, and we do have the ability to be injured by your weaponry, but at the same time, and we do not like weaponry in our territory. But I also personally understand in the swamp areas you do need weapons back there because of all the other cryptid and animal types back there. Those are the only areas that guns are permissible within our territories because of the extreme danger of the other. This is understandable. But if it's in our colony areas and up in the wooded areas, our people extremely frown upon weaponry being in our territory.
Yeah, I hope you guys stay safe. Humans don't always know what they're doing, so.
Yes, yes, they some are scared and think we're a swamp monster. Yes, your Boggy Creek monster type of movie and everything put us in a bad light. Some people are just knowing about the creepy cryptids of Appalachia. The wild men of Appalachia. They're these human, naked-looking, grotesque figures that are cannibals, and also your face eaters, trolls, and other creepy type of things that go bump in the night. These are the things that people are scared of, and they have every right to be afraid of these things. We don't like them ourselves. We are creeped out by the naked wild man of Appalachia ourselves. This is where you get the idea of the hills have eyes and stories like this, or the cannibal of the woods, things of that nature, the Great Smoky Mountains. All of this, they're up in those areas, and I do not wish to scare people, but they are creepy even to us. And you have your Slender Man that's up and down the East Coast as well. That's a dimensional cryptid, which they both can go good and bad. People think they're topaz, but they're really not. People think they're thought forms of the Slender Man, but you're actually getting the idea of that through connection and not creation, if this makes sense.
Okay, where do you? I hear there's like billions of Sasquatch around. Where do they all get their food at? Is it out of frequency, or don't they eat that much?
Oh, yes, we eat quite a bit. There's actually, let's say, you would have far more nature encroaching on in your neighborhoods, cities, and territories if we were not around. Let's just say eating some of that, and also in some instances we do grow our own. Some tribes do grow their own Others also have dimensional ties where there are animals and food and fruits and vegetables and everything in other frequencies. So it just depends on the tribe you are talking to. With us, we steal pigs from time to time. We do take farm animals. There's even a story he heard of a forest person and grabbing a pig out of a farmer's yard while the pig's screaming, and the person goes, "Yes, you can have it," because he was spooked, actually. Then the adolescent Sasquatch ran off into the woods with the pig. This has happened quite a bit. That had to have been a Squatch that was either low on resources or did not know how to shift frequency variances like ourselves. And well, we know how, but like humans that are in your normal day to day, a lot of them don't know how to do this. Some of our people are the same way in the younger crowd. You would nickname them the Gen Zers of our group.
So, it brings up a good question, especially about domestic animals, because, I think many people will say they see their pet, their cat, their dog or something looking up at something that they can't see. So it's an interesting thing about the frequency that animals in general can see into. Since you're only a few points off from us, would a regular cat, dog, or would the pig or whatever see you in your frequency?
Yes. Yes, they could. Cats and dogs, especially, will see us. The prey animals tend not to see us unless they're looking for hunting themselves. Like your wild boar, they will see what they think is a human and try to attack us, and then they're meat at that point, essentially. Not that we view, of course, they have their own souls and their own energies. Of course, we respect all nature and in balance in accordance with nature, but we also know that certain creatures were put on the earth for consumption, you see. So we understand this point. We would not be cruel to them, but we understand this. Now with your pets, they are your soul friends in this respect. And they do see us like Winston saw Fuma and them coming all the time from a certain point in the Prescott house, the other window by the porch where Winston would come and talk to us. And Sammy does talk to us as well. And he knows when we are around, and he knows when other things are around. Your son's cats do the same. They will look at things around. We have stopped by that place as well, around your grandson as well. And other beings are starting to culminate in that particular area. And the cats do see us from time to time, just like your cats do, Terry. Well, they see us from time to time. It's more 2Hearts that has frequented that area around your place. He is up more in that part of the country. And we migrate. He tends to stay firm in his little abode there. He will go into other migratory areas in other parts of the north. But yes, I will let you explain in a little bit. But with us, yes, cats and dogs do see us and speak to us quite often. Yes.
Do you happen to grow animals in other frequencies and then bring them into our frequency so we have extra food, or how does that all work?
Yes, we have actually done this before. It's granted it's easier for us to take from one person and give to another. Elemental groups will do this from time to time for people that they favor. You know the ones in Globe that gave you the $40 that were on the ground that time. Those were gnomish type of beings because you favored them in the argument and fight against the ICC and other galactic resource traders. This essentially, we see someone with a more open heart and willingness to communicate. Some of our people will take from one they think is, you would see, worthy and unworthy. Yes, this is a have and have not, but so be it. We will grab from someone who is not in here or someone who is. So, to create food, yes, we could do that, or we just take from one that has an overabundance or is gluttonous in some form or fashion and not obeying the in accordance or balance with nature. But we see that as over gluttonous. So, and not being in balance with nature. We take what we need, not always what we want, if this makes sense.
Yeah, they're going off of 500 million chickens here lately in our country, and you got to wonder where all the food supply is coming from. Do you use any like food replication technology?
Some groups do, yes. You're encountering some groups that are more in touch with the technology as well. Also, some of your corporations are cloning chicken forms and copy and pasting the genome so people can eat. It is more of you would see it as a 3D printer. This will gross you all out, to those that are watching this, but they can literally take an animal and 3D print the same one over and over and over again.
Okay.
This is essentially what they are doing in the background. No one would notice, because sometimes the 3D printers, just like with, say, you make a photocopy or print out of a printer, isn't each print slightly different how the ink displaces on the paper? This is no matter how much of a template you have, sometimes the printouts turn out slightly different. And they can rearrange some things and do things like that. They also slaughter the animals as well, but they mix them all together. They are using a rudimentary form of replication to create 3D printed meat. This is also why some people are getting sick off of this, because it is not perfected. These corporations have not perfected it. They're capitalizing on it. There is a difference. With us, yes, we have put animals back that some of our groups have taken from people. We will give back. Just like in trade, you see some of the tribal groups leave a dead animal or leave sticks or stones or things of this nature. We have given back to farmers where we've taken from. That is if that person isn't a crotchety old bastard. So this is where we are at with this.
So you guys, I guess, humanity is moving forward with the replicator technology, and the goal is, if it is done correctly, that it is not harmful to humans.
Yes, and he is picking up on stuff in the background. He's always imagined himself having a replicator and reclamator where you throw garbage into it and it can pop out as something else. That's the Philosopher's Stone you see in Star Trek. Essentially, that's the key point of the Philosopher's Stone. Then he is actually picking up on that some of these corporate people have these things in their homes already. They are attempting to plan in the background how they can capitalize on having people subscribe to this, because they know it has to come out at some point. He's picking up on all aspects in his imagination where he's participating in this. We have been showing him what this looks like. And Valiant Thor and them have been showing him what this looks like. This is a path to bringing this out. They're trying to preserve your infrastructure, and also their greed at the same time. So you have both a yin and a yang, where they're trying to preserve your financial infrastructure, but at the same time, trying to only have the have and have-nots for their people. This is why he's picked up, like in his own personal situation with you guys, that he would gift it to only friends and family at first and build out from there. This is what some of these people think they're doing. And also, in the greed aspect of it, some of them would never let it go. But some of these elitist types are using this technology, and they are using it, again, within your corporate world or in your store world, where he even envisioned having a deal with stores to have a specific type of machinery nearby to be able to replicate this. It didn't quite get that far with your stores to have a replicator in the store. It didn't. That's one of the next stages they were planning. He was picking up on this, but they do have them at a warehouse where they can constantly pump out these 3D printed chickens and burger meat and all of this other stuff. If you knew half of what was done to create the 3D print, you would lose your appetite. But also with the cruelty to the animals as well. So they are trying to switch this around. Your Impossible Burger, for instance, that plant-based one, and also the bug-based ones, are part replicated and part cultivated with bugs and such. This is actually, we do not necessarily favor bugs. They do not have as much nutritional or protein value, and this was another way to control people. That's why they had their let them eat bugs type of situation out there.
So not to get into anything controversial, but I have to ask because the story is coming out, that there would be, I could certainly see a strategy of someone wanting to not have available the real ones in order to forward their getting people to purchase the replicated ones.
Yes, you were picking up correctly, Joanna. This is in part this is happening. Not all factions are on board with this. You are seeing certain ones that are on board with this. Where they replicate the meat. And this is why it doesn't have as much flavor, because the replicator technology they have is rudimentary. It did not translate the flavor like in your Trek series where you had the Trelane figure where he tried to replicate human food and wine and it had no taste.
Mm-hmm.
This is he can only go on what he was seeing. The computer and AI can only go on what is being seen, not as being what is being experienced by the palate, you see. And they can only replicate that so far. It would be bland and icky tasting. This is why you are coming across some of that. Also, hormone and antibiotic filled animals too. This creates this as well.
But I just want to ask for clarification. If people are unknowingly ingesting, and again, sometimes you get a piece of meat or whatever, like this, there's no taste to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've all experienced that in real life. But if you are ingesting it, is there nutritional value to it right now with what they're replicating?
Yes and no. They're putting in just enough to keep you hooked on, say, medications or to constantly buy more of that. But there isn't near as much as what they could replicate with it. Like they could literally replicate a small piece of bread or a candy bar to have an entire day's worth of nutrition, like your lambda bread in your Lord of the Rings, the elven bread.
Mhm.
They could literally create that, and you would be satisfied on a few bites of something. They want to perpetuate this, and they also want to feed a viral contagion that's going through people, replicating fat cells as well. They want them slow, poisoned, fat, and dumb. This is what is going on, along with your psionic dampening. It's essentially the cocktail from hell where you have poison and energy frequency. So from above and on the ground from your towers, but they have devices on the ground for this too. This is what your fog was, you see, where it's still on your chemtrails. You have the chemming, like what he always says with the SpongeBob reference, with the making people dumb, with the cloud in Bikini Bottom. That's exactly what they were showing you, exactly what they were doing, word for word, letter for letter in that, and the re-education through the education system. This is what is currently happening in your communities.
And so, but not, again, it's not everybody in agreement. I'm sorry, Terry. It's not everybody in agreement with the cabal families as far as the philosophy of keep them dumb, fat, and happy in their own way versus people that want to see humanity, more flourish and be the best they can be. I'm just saying you don't have complete agreement with cabal families on which way to go.
No,
and that's actually being fought out right now.
They are all different,
Yeah.
like in your theater of puppets. They are all different on how they want to implement strategies. Terry?
Is the replication technology, is that going on like in every country or just mainly in the bigger ones?
It is not in every country, no. You would see evidence of it even in your poor, like the starving Ethiopian children and all this. It is not there. Anywhere where you are seeing the extreme starving people, it is not there. It is only in the bigger countries and the bigger populated areas. If you see like really poor people that are starving and they're skeletal looking, this is essentially will tell you what communities it is not in or what countries it is not in. Now, where you see them overly like fat, it is in abundance, and the food has been programmed to spread that particular contagion.
Okay, so it is going on in the U.S.
Yes,
We
most
just
definitely, most definitely.
never hear much about it.
You won't hear about this because people are paying attention to, yes, the animals being abused. Yes, they're paying attention to also some of the replication technology, but they don't know that it is being used. You also heard about years ago the more gross way of doing this, your cloned pooping worm, where they would throw garbage in and it would turn into like some raw materials that they could create other items with. In lieu of not having replication technology, they found you would look like it looks like a worm from your Dune, like the sandworm, but smaller, or like the baby one you saw in the second movie. It's like this, where they shove things down it, it poops out raw materials, like your elephant with the coffee beans kind of scenario. And then they can take those raw materials and turn them into other foods. Even though it would be easier for them to shove the other garbage into the replicator system, like I said, they're using rudimentary. So they sometimes will use a go-between, a biological go-between, create the raw material, therefore they can create other things with it by hand as well, if they had to. That is the grosser way of describing this, but it's not in all areas. It's mainly in your southern states like Texas and Arizona and those places, and some up further up the country. But then the further in the middle you get, then you start getting some of the more replicated stuff. It depends on what clan and faction you're dealing with at the time and in their territory, and it shifts daily. It's like he compares it to your Kazons and Star Trek Voyager, where their maps change to their space daily. The clans of the cabal change and shift constantly because they're constantly kicking each other in the nutsack. So this is essentially the best way I can describe it.
They're killing all these chickens, but they're not getting sick from natural causes, I'm guessing.
No, no, your cabal factions are not. They are not inoculated to even galactic contagions. Now, your Martian Germans, on the other hand, they wanted to be the master race where their genome can defeat all of these things. They are probably the weakest of the bunch as a result because they have taken out the certain frequencies and genomes that could possibly mix. There is a case in point in your Babylon 5 series where there was an alien race that got rid of one of its races that had an immunity to a disease, or in your Voyager where somebody erased another species that had an immunity to a disease in your temporal incursion, the episode with the Crenum Imperium, he says, where a species was erased that had an immunity to a disease, therefore the Crenum got the disease. This is essentially what's going on with your Martian Germans. They have weeded out all of this in favor of the Aryan genes, and the master race itself is probably the most susceptible in the solar system to every virus you have a name for. They would literally die from your common cold if they were on Earth. When they broke away, they were like your Martians in your Expanse series, where they actually started to change. Your current incarnation of your Martian Germans, you could sneeze on them and they would fall over. This is actually no joke. I'm not just making fun of them. This is how they currently look and currently act. This is why they do things from a distance. If they stepped foot on the Earth, they would be like the Martians were in that TV series, where they would their senses would be all messed up, or like your Kryptonians in your Man of Steel movie and franchise, where they were all messed up from Earth's environment for a minute. This is exactly how it is currently for them.
Okay, go ahead, Joanna. I'm pretty much done for now.
No, I mean, I just wanted to add to that because, again, it's like we said a time before that, I wish I could say that, some of these people and some of these groups or whatever, when the nefarious extraterrestrials got a hold of them, they weren't looking for people who were going to be able to overcome them. So they call making us humans on Earth fat, dumb, and happy. They've done the same thing to that group because they're still puppets to someone else. So I keep saying that, even with, I hate to say it, the cabal lineages, themselves have problems because, again, they answer to someone else who's not going to let them be better than. So really the strongest of humanity are the mutts. Just
Yes, the mixed
are the
race.
mucks and us that are mixed on earth. But again, a lot of effort is done to, obviously keep us down as much as possible, because we would be the ones, and we are energetically changing to make changes. But, I always say, people that, again, the whole concept of the pure breed or whatever, it's like they've answered to someone else who has them mentally thinking they're the best thing since sliced bread. They don't have a problem having you think that, but then are able to manipulate you to do things that are damning to your own genome.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it all. They've done it all the time for 500,000 years at least. So
Mm-hmm. You are correct, Joanna. Now I do have to step aside for 2Hearts, who is impatient. Well, I shouldn't say he's impatient. He's been patiently waiting here. So thank you for having me on. Currently, 2Hearts, you are welcome to step in now.
Thanks, Hamstring. That was great.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, my name, as you know it to be, is 2Hearts. I do not believe that human vocals can pronounce my name accurately, but we do earn nicknames. Just like Hambone and Hamstring have had their original birth names, but then they earned those nicknames. 2Hearts is essentially mine. And Terry, you know me quite well because you put treats out for me and my clan every now and again.
Hmm.
Migrate through that area, but I do not leave past, let's see, the borders and boundaries of how this would be aligned. Where you are, in Pennsylvania, we do travel to the west a little and to the north, up, through, also part of your state of New York and all the way up into Canada from time to time. But then we migrate back down into Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania is where we are for the most part. With myself, if you saw me, I am actually not as tall as Hamstring, and I'm more narrow like Hambone. I'm essentially 10 feet tall and black in coloring, including the skin type. And there are others of my clan who have an affinity for fruit, apples, stones, and sweets. So, you guys can ask me anything you wish.
Um, yeah, what all do you like to eat? Do you guys like to eat a lot of meat or just a little? Or
A mixture of the two, where when you hung the bag outside with all the treats in it, we were able to grab from that from time to time. We couldn't always do it, but because of the interferences that were around. But at the same time, yes, we do like a variety of like meat and fruit and nuts, and also non-food treats such as your stones and little trinkets from time to time. The children, he sees children on Hamstring's side, and he also sees children on our side as well. They're much like your grandson. They play with pretty much anything. With this, the how I earn the name 2Hearts, whereas it represents the heartfelt communication from us to yourself and other humans, but also representing that the other humans had to have the open heart space towards us as well. I became more of an ambassador in that area. So again, heart to heart, 2Hearts, you see? This is how that name came about. I'm actually roughly the same age as Fuma, 307 years of age. He is actually roughly 300. I guess I'm a little older, but oh well. The clan that is in that area had elected me the ambassador for that zone, or the moot had elected me towards that zone. We do have that structure from time to time, even with other clans that don't completely operate that way. The moot, our elder, tends to go towards there and confide with others. Our elder, if you saw him, he literally would be older than dirt. So, and also there is a she as well. So there are female heads of state, let's say, as well. In this case, there are two. There are two elders. There's an elder female and an elder male. And they rule that together. You see that periodically, but sometimes it is a singular governing person, or it's two men, one that govern over here and one over here. It just depends on the clans. In ours, it's more of a duke and duchess type of situation. Not that the others are uncivilized, they're Hambone and Hamstring, but we don't have the let's just say need to steal pigs in that respect. You might, but we do not. That you would see us as kind of, yes, I know I'm getting the finger. Yes, okay. Uh, in this instance, it would be kind of like seeing like northern civilized versus southern bayou kind of situation. And they do come up here into Pennsylvania. We give them shit, but they're actually fun. They know we're screwing around. But we're not actually that cold-hearted where we don't see them as uncivilized. They just came up with a different way of doing things. And that's how humans need to view each other. Agree to disagree and just see another way of doing things. But in this respect, our chieftain or our elder, his name is, how can I pronounce it in human terms? See, so his human vocals cannot pronounce this correctly. We'll just nickname him as the Saren, and his wife Yaren. These are the shorter versions of the name. The human vocals can't always get it. Hence, Hambone, Hamstring, 2Hearts. So, also as well. So, you have further questions for me?
Do you guys travel off the planet or inside the planet or any of that?
Inside the planet, Fuma and Simar tend to go off-world. I have once. They have had multiple times. Sometimes the Moot will elect certain ambassadors to go off-world as well. In this instance, I was only one time, but mainly I go into underneath the ground there. In your area, Terry, there are a series of caves and caverns that go way down deep. There's some areas that were not discovered that are very much like your Luray caverns are in Virginia. It's similar. Not quite as extensive as Luray. The dragons like to frequent little, like big areas like that. But in ours, it is a series of crystalline structures that go down into the earth. That every now and again you get a stalactite and stalagmite coming up. But it is tighter squeeze, but then it goes down and drops down into part of the inner earth. This is how we traverse. It would be like a mountain climber having to hop over certain things, or you see in your Expedition Unknown series where you see them squeezing into tight spaces to get into a bigger space. This is us. We've chiseled some things out of the way so we can get through. But if you went into our territory, you would see stalactites, stalagmites, and you would see crystalline structures, and then an open area where light can come in through crystals. Very much like if you had a skylight. Mm-hmm. That was actually, some people like to use glass or quartz to reach above, if they have like a basement area and they can have a skylight down into a basement area or an underground home in some instance, like an earth ship they call it. It's like that, where it was made of old garbage and you had a glass tube going and lighting up the bottom areas or underground areas. Sometimes we have that. But this is my experience. It's mainly on Earth. I have only been off-world once because it was something that was part of the Moot request. But it's mainly Fuma, Simar, and that tribe that actually got elected. That very much like, again, with your Cabal families, how it's like your great families in Dune that the Harkonnens assigned the Atreides family spice. Think of that on the good side of the spectrum. It's not when a gift is not a gift type of thing like with them. But with us, it is essentially the moot will go, okay, well, we're giving this person a chance to do this. They're good at this particular aspect. Let's keep them here. Fuma and Seymour and them have been good at going off-world and dealing with the Galactic Senate, people of which that I would not touch with a 100-foot pole. So this is where I'm currently at.
What all do you guys do inside the Earth? Do you just visit there, or do you actually live there for a while?
We do live there, but we also migrate on the surface. We have large communities under there that we do live. We have families and colonies under there. If you were to travel under there, you would meet a few of our sentinels and guards that would try to chase you out of there. But in a more friendly type of setting, you would see us we would sleep in alcoves, and we would be shielded with some tech. There is a little bit of tech there from our elder from the Atlantean period, and some of us have chosen not always to use it, but some of us have. You would see us sitting at even at tables, underground. They would be like stone slabs. It was very cavemanish. I know, Isaac, very very cavemanish. But we're not actually. We might be related to them, but we're not. And we're also cousins to those wild men. But no, those are our gross relations. Like you have maybe a creepy cousin or somewhat at a family get together that he sits alone at the table at the other end of a long table. That would be those people to us. They would be the creepy guys in the corner at a Chuck E. Cheese or something. This is essentially like the yes, Isaac, I know the pedophile in the corner. I understand, and that unfortunately is true in this case. But they abduct children and they abduct adults alike. But our life down in those caverns is essentially no different than your own. We have family structures, we have social structures with force people that come and go. And we have essentially a meeting hall, and we have our individual homes. If you went down there, you would see homes made into the stone. You would see us living in essentially older structures that were there from the Atlantean period and before, a long time before, even before the Orion Wars. There's structures on the Earth that are from there, your megalithic structures. If you went down in, you would see some of those megalithic type structures, those rooms still carved out. It's very much like how your Native Americans had, like the Anasazi, had the stone structures built into the walls. Also, your Montezuma Castle. That's the kind of thing you would see with us, but it's essentially made from the native stone up north. Some of your forest people, you'd be surprised to learn, also do similar things, and did teach some of the Native Americans how to do this. It was also the tall whites, or your Lanulosian people, that taught them how the certain structures, and also other ETs as well that taught some of the how to build certain structures like they did in biblical times as well. So this is essentially what we are using, some of the structures that came before, very much like you build new on top of old.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see it sometime. Give me a dream or something, or take me down.
Yes, so this can be arranged, but it might not be the timing in which you are expecting it to be. Dream is more feasible at this point, but trust me, we really wish people to see these particular things in your lifetime. But would I be willing to show myself? Yes, but it might be more randomized, but lack of maybe scaring the shit out of people. But we do what you call the flinch test, where they showed themselves to you and you still went like that. Some of us do this, and as much as you would want to see me, if you saw me standing there, what would you actually do? So this
Right. Freak for a second.
yes, flinch for a second maybe,
Then
and
I'd be all right.
maybe shit and piss yourself, but at the same time, this has happened, by the way. Yes, it does. Yes, everyone is laughing at that because they've all experienced this from humans. No offense, but every one of you out there has experienced this to some degree, including humans listening to this. This would happen, but at the same time, we are attempting to avoid that reaction, as comical as that can be to some people out there, Isaac. Yes. So, any questions?
Go ahead, Joanna, if you have any.
Well, basically, what have you not spoken about that you would like to tell people that were wanting to make contact with you? What would you advise them to do?
The biggest one would be yourself. Don't go out there with the intent of violence or in the intent of capturing evidence. We communicate when we wish it, not before. And when we see an opportunity to speak to somebody, if they happen to be wanting evidence, we wait until it is an opportune time to do so. Some are hams for the camera, like Shreyan and the rest of them at Spirit Lake. They don't, let's just say they don't get out of the house much. So yes, they'd be going hee hee for the camera. Fuma, he gets out of the house too much, but also likes to ham it up for the camera too. As well as Seymour and the rest of them. But that's also part of their job description as galactic ambassadors. Now, with us, yes, do not go into the intent that you are getting evidence for academia. Academia will never be able to be pleased, as he likes to say with the paranormal groups, where even in the mere existence of paranormal groups, that is a violation to academia's scientific methodology and coding. So therefore, it is an infinity loop. With us, then the connection is more meaningful. And some like also the merch aspect, like them, the Fuma and them like that aspect. Like I said, they ham it up for the camera, and Shreyan and the rest of them also like this idea. Not all groups like this, by the way. This was just decided on by the moot, and others went. So not every one of them like it. This is why some Sasquatch groups that are communicating with other people say, don't do this, don't create this, don't do this. You're dealing with one of those groups that don't care for it. So just like we don't mind it, if that particular group says do not honor, just honor their the way of doing things. But we as a whole decided it was okay. Now, the symbols that go with it matter as well, like what you do with your pieces, cups, and shirts, and all of this. Like he's wearing the word Sasquatch. Great, wonderful, and brilliant. Not all groups even agree with this. This is a loophole that your Fuma and Seymour came up with to let us into more areas. We love it, but not all of us. And I want to stress this. Just like all of you have different opinions on what reality is and how to handle things, this is how it is with our group. Like you saw in your second Aquaman movie, where he had to deal with mer people that were more akin to your Orm character, that because he wanted to conquer the surface world. Not quite that violent, maybe with some mer people. They're like that. They're crotchety like that. But they bitch about the garbage and people taking sand and shells, crap like that. But with this, there are those of my kind that are not too keen on relationships with the humankind. Not as many as are, but just know that not all of us speak with one voice. This I have to emphasize above all else. We do not all speak with one voice. We speak with a loud voice. We speak with the majority voice. But not all of us speak with one voice and have the same opinion across the board. If this makes sense to you guys.
So basically, you get the sense that you should leave an area, you should leave an area.
Yes, even if it is a kind one that you've communicated with, like myself or Fum and Seymour and them, they may still be warding you away from a colony. This does not necessarily mean they find you, they don't like you. Now, the ones that don't, you will find out very evidently, very quickly, that they're not interested in a relationship and they're not interested in you being there. So always go with your discernment and intuition at all times, in our territory or with anything for that matter.
Yeah, it's great to know that there's a lot of Sasquatch on our side, and they look at themselves as our brothers and sisters and cousins, and we can work together and all that. So
yes, like I said, the majority of us feel this way. But every now and again, you get some weirdo in our group, and I know they're listening too. I hold them in the highest respect, but we must progress forward, regardless of what the old world wishes and what the old world understands.
Well, again, and that's the same problem humanity faces, right? With different humans and different philosophies
Yeah.
living all throughout the world. So, certainly can't throw stones to somebody when
No.
we have the same thing going on.
We have all the same thing. I kid with them, even if they don't have a sense of humor at the moment. They're kind of scowling in the background. And he did encounter in Arizona and here others that were not too keen on communications as well. Like when you went past your Yorktown that time, there was a grouping over there that was not too keen on equipment and communications, except for a brief moment. You'll run into some. It's not xenophobia in that way. It is more caution.
Right.
Because humans of the earlier period did shoot at them and did see them as monsters and ended up killing a few of them. So they're incredibly cautious. The ones up north by your state of Oregon are incredibly cautious. That's why they rejected you the first time you guys went through there. They were the ones, some of the clans were involved in the infamous Patterson-Gimlin incident, where it was a great tragedy that befell our people there. Again, this is why some of them are also not keen on talking. So you understand this. So this is where I can detach this time, unless you have something else.
No, I appreciate you coming through and talking with us.
Thank you. Yes. And Terry, we will be in touch, of course. It could be dreams, it could be any form of communication. I would specify further, but then that leaves out the surprise. So I thank you all for listening and having me on. So thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Yeah, his energy was a bit different than Hamstring's. Hamstring's, you could tell, was much larger, and yes, Isaac, he was greasier. I understand. Okay. Yeah. Hamstring's giving him the finger. A lot of them have been giving him the finger through this whole. So that's usually the Force people's response to Isaac, is giving him the finger. But for the most part, he kids because he cares. Yes, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that from Hambone and Hamstring. But well,
Yeah, we know everybody cares for everybody, so
yeah, they're just messing around. They now some beings are genuinely mad too at times. But I'm off this direction. I'm sensing a Force people group that were not necessarily keen on this conversation. They're kind of like this, like so. They're like whatever. So I get it. We get it. And so I know you don't want to identify yourselves, but yeah, no, I can feel you off that way. They're like, thank you for understanding. Okay.
Yeah.
So they basically said that's this many of their people, and they said humans will be that way eventually too with the galactic community. And there'll be a smaller group of people that are not keen on it. Eventually that gets weeded out. So it's not that they're losing something. They also want to specify it's not that they're losing something traditionally. It's just they know when to move forward. Just like you see in the Aquaman movie where you saw them eventually move forward. So Isaac wants to say not progressive DEI garbage. No, that's not like the Galactic Federation would have you believe in one of their creepy sects. But in the he slams them because he's around them a lot. But he knows how they bash each other and they just kind of shrug it off. But also okay, let's see. Yeah, there's a ton of them around. So they were all supporting this. And for context, for what they were saying in the beginning, I didn't tell her this today, but there was some creepy dreams along with association with 3s and 9s. So today being 3-9-25, you see the matchup for that they were trying to instill, especially through the 9s. We talked about that on GIC with the 9 and 7 number codings and things of that nature. And they came in en masse to block a lot of this, so they could exploit the number coding. So they could use that as a conduit. So and they're not dispersing; they're just backing up now. So I think this is a good place to take this out. Terry, did you have anything else to add?
Oh, that sounds good to me. We've been long enough.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of The World of Sasquatch. Thank you for getting on this. This is going to be on the Rumble when you see this, but I will share this to everywhere else as well. by the time you see this. So I now close this circle within true benevolence with no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. Thank you, everybody, and bye-bye.